Welcome to Treasure Valley Podcast. I'm Chuck.
And I am Elliot.
And today's episode is brought to you by LowerGentry Studios yet again. Our sponsors from the very first episode until now have been LowerGentry Studios. You can go to lowergentrystudios.com to check out the web series Canyon County, which was just released as of about a month ago.
Yeah, the whole thing was, the last episode premiered about a month ago. So
the music continued to play.
I know. We're going to edit that out in post, though.
That's true.
For sure.
We could do that.
All right. So, is there anything special about today? I feel like today is a very special episode, Chuck.
It is.
Why?
Today is a special episode because we're recording on Memorial Day.
Memorial Day. So, happy Memorial Day?
I don't know if it's supposed to be...
It's supposed to be a solemn occasion.
Serious and solemn. And it's actually very unique worldwide. We were looking this up prior to the podcast. Memorial Day is a memorial type day is only celebrated in the United States and Germany.
What do you mean? What do you mean by memorial type day?
A day where the fallen soldiers are honored.
Oh, okay. Like all fallen soldiers, right?
From the country.
Ah, okay. Because there's Memorial Days in places like Australia and Spain, but they're usually commemorating one specific instance or one specific armistice. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
The days, Australia and New Zealand, the day that they joined World War I, which was their first big battle. There's a lot of them commemorating
England
World
has
War.
a lot of them have World War I commemorations. I was looking it up with you. I just wanted to,
Clarify.
make sure we're getting enough information.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess when we're looking at that big list of the memorial or the memorial days across the world, most of them commemorate a specific instance, a specific armistice, a specific battle, a specific something, right? But in the United States, I guess we've had so many wars that they just have to lump it all together.
Yes.
So we're just going to have a dead soldier day and just an all soldier day. We're going to have Memorial Day for the dead ones, all soldiers, Veterans Day. So,
yes,
because we're not going to stop fighting crazy wars. So might as well just
keep going on.
Yeah, because we can't have too many days off for war commemoration.
Yes, I was actually looking up some of the histories, some of the wars that we fought, and there's a really long list. 1800s were famous for a lot of wars against Native Americans.
Yeah.
There were a lot of battles against Native Americans.
Yeah, and we can't celebrate all those.
No. There's just too many. It was just an ongoing thing. But anyway, thank you for those of you whose family members
yes, we don't want to be flippant towards the sacrifice of veterans.
No, not at all.
No, we're not being flippant. We're just pointing out the fact that the United States is in so many wars that they can't have specific commemoration days. They just have to. All soldiers, you get a day.
Yes.
Dead ones, you get another day.
Yep. It's really sad, actually. We live in the comfort of our homes here, and then there are things going on right now across the world where people are battling for our country.
Yeah.
And we're none the wiser to what happens on a daily basis.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, in Vietnam, they covered it, and it was kind of a first to have the media out there actually covering the horrors of war.
Mm-hmm.
And now I feel like it's just kind of become commonplace.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Almost.
How long have we been involved? I mean, in the Middle East on this. I mean, we've been involved in the Middle East forever and ever and ever. But even in an actual official capacity at war since 2001. So 18 years, we've just been continually involved in Afghanistan, Iraq, and then
at some point, the nightly news just quits covering.
Yeah, they're just like, this is boring. We need to talk about the Kardashians or
another thing about Trump, what he tweeted.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about the tweets.
Let's just broadcast his Twitter feed.
Yeah. Oh man, we're getting political. I don't think this is what the Treasure Valley podcast is about.
Nope. We should probably go right into the events.
Yes, because we're about Treasure Valley events. It's called the Treasure Valley podcast. Let's do it.
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on in the Treasure Valley?
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'm excited for State Street Music Room to open up in Boise. It's a record shop / antiques that's going to be opening up. Our friend Laura is opening up a record store.
Sweet.
Yeah, so she's really good about, very knowledgeable about vinyl, and so I'm kind of excited to check that out.
Yeah, when does it open up?
This Saturday, June 1st.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I will be there.
Me too.
So should you.
Everybody should go check it out.
So should you.
and the person next to the person he was pointing at.
Yeah, but not the other person on the other side.
If
We
you're
don't
just
want you
listening
there.
to this, we're pointing at the camera for
Yeah.
those that only listen to the MP3 version.
Yeah, and actually that's most of the people that listen to this podcast. So those of you who are listening, two of you should go, but then the third one we don't want them there because you're a loser.
Yeah, that third wheels. I can't stand them.
Unless you can finally find a date
Yeah.
and stop just mooching off the relationship of others just because you're lonely.
Yes. Even groups.
Yeah,
even
even-
numbers of people need to
Yeah,
go.
I'm pretty sure that
to
that's
the
what
record shop.
the record store said, that we only want even groups of people.
Yeah.
We don't want any solitary people, and we don't want any triads or
Yes.
quinads. I was going to say quintuplets. But
I don't think that's I don't know what the term is for a group of 5 people.
Yeah.
But 10, if you double it, you could get 2 fifth wheel people
Yeah.
and then just pair them together. So just stand outside the shop.
You know,
Vinyl
weird-
was meant to be enjoyed.
You know the
by
weird thing?
groups.
I'm going to go off on a tangent here, but there was a
Okay.
weird thing with numbers where my boss said the other day we're gonna decimate these numbers because he wanted us to run these numbers for a spreadsheet. And he's just like, let's decimate them, and they said into breaking them up into groups of 10. And then I had to stop him and say, decimate means to murder everybody. And then I looked it up later, and then traditionally decimate actually came from the Roman practice of killing every 10th person to try to when they would defeat an army.
Oh.
They would then kill every 10th person to really demoralize the entire population.
So
Decimate. So and then decimate then was the definition of it was changed over time to just like killing everybody. If you decimate a population, you kill everybody in the area. But it used to literally mean you would line everybody up and then you'd kill every 10th person.
Huh.
Yeah.
And so 10% of the forces, even if they surrendered, the Romans would annihilate.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's
Just to
pretty-
really show who's boss.
That's pretty brutal.
Yeah, for sure.
Well,
Anyway,
they
we're
got
talking
what,
about-
they
we're-
got what was coming to them eventually.
Yeah. The Roman, they did
You
fall
can't-
apart.
You can't build an empire that lasts forever doing those kinds of things.
Yeah. For
Only like a few multiple hundreds of years, but not forever.
sure. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Do you have an event that you would like to share?
Yeah, the Trees and Boot Juice at the Olympic this Friday. Friday, May 31st, 7 p.m. at the Olympic venue. Go check them out. I don't know Boot Juice, to be honest, so I'm not gonna endorse them.
The Trees is really
The
good.
Trees is awesome though. They're
I'm sure
kind
that
of,
Boot Juice has to be good if the Trees is playing.
yeah.
with
The
them.
Trees though, they kind of play. What are they kind of? It's kind of like a rock Americana style, I would say.
Yeah.
Kind of a little country twinge, a little bit, or a bluegrass twinge,
Mhm.
but then kind of more straightforward rock music too.
Yeah, it's good. It's definitely very solid.
Excuse me.
So
All right.
those are the 2 things that you should do this weekend.
Yep. The
with
Trees
another person,
Friday. Yeah.
With one other person or even amounts of people.
Yes, exactly. So the Trees Friday, and then the new record store. Do you know where the location of the record store is?
It's off of Veterans Memorial Parkway and State Street.
Oh well.
It's just a little bit farther. It's west on State if you get off of that
Cool.
Veterans Memorial Parkway.
Do you want to go this weekend, or do you want to go on that Saturday?
Yeah, I think it'd be fun.
All right, let's do it.
I want to find out how much some of the vinyl I have in my house is worth.
Ooh.
I have a giant collection of vinyl, which is not all mine, but
It's half mine.
yes.
Yeah, but I didn't have space in the new place that I got.
So I have the collection, and possession is 9/10 of the law.
you
So
got a point there. All right.
I want to see what some of those records are worth. Maybe I'll bring a handful.
Mhm.
I wonder if they do consignment.
I don't know. These are questions that you should ask them, audience members.
That's true. I guess we could have done a little reporting ahead of
No,
time too.
I
so
think I like the way
I
that
like
we
to speculate.
I like to speculate, and I like to only get enough information for this podcast that literally can be fit in one sentence. Like my research, which is on this note card, it literally says the Trees ×2, because I didn't want to write the Trees, Boot Juice, and then Olympic Friday, 7 p.m.
Nice.
That's the only research.
You
that I
better
did.
reuse that note card next week then, because that's a waste of a note card. If you
Yeah, you're right.
don't. Just make sure you cross out that point so we don't repeat ourselves from week to week.
Good point. All right. Problem solution.
We need to talk about problems and solutions.
You've got problems. I've got problems. We've got problems. Here's the answer.
All right. So, what is the problem? What problem are we going to be talking about
We
today?
need to, spoiler alert, for those of you that have not watched Game of Thrones. I feel that we
2 years ago, I would have said, those of you who have not watched Game of Thrones, I would say you should definitely watch Game of Thrones. Now I'm going to say maybe you shouldn't watch Game of Thrones.
It's all about the ending.
It is all about the ending, isn't it?
And it should be satisfying. It should have been satifying.
Yeah, and it's awful.
It was a disaster.
Awful.
I didn't know what to feel on that last episode.
Yeah.
I was baffled.
Yeah.
It was a completely different show.
Yeah. It was just a bad show.
Yes.
Just a bad. And you know what it was? It was like the writers were just trying to check off points.
Mm-hmm.
Like they had been given some sort of arbitrary checklist of events.
Yeah.
And then they just went, okay, now this scene, now this scene, now this scene, now this scene. It kind of felt like that the last 2 seasons, but I didn't really necessarily notice it until like this one.
They really fast forward through the last
the last
season.
the last 2 years, yeah.
This season, I mean, it's okay. So problem, ending. The problem was the ending. Can you share your ending that you thought was going to be perfect, which I was very hopeful you had called it, but you didn't?
Well, actually, I knew I was wrong at the beginning of last year because my idea for the ending was that there was going to be, because you have the zombie. For those of you who don't watch Game of Thrones, you should just, I mean, there's only like 5 of you that haven't seen Game of Thrones, so it doesn't really matter. So we're just going to assume that you've seen it, and if you haven't seen it, then
shut this off if you are really concerned about it. But here's the other thing that
the Red Wedding. We'll just say all the big ones. Like basically, don't get attached to Catelyn Stark. She's going to die at this wedding ceremony, very surprisingly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then Eddard Stark. He's if you're watching the first episode, he's going to get his head chopped off. At episode 9.
People die, and the thing is. The spoiler thing kind of frustrates me sometimes too because people are concerned about being informed about plot.
Yeah.
But if a film or a TV series is executed really well, it doesn't matter if you know what happens at the end because you're engaged in how they get there.
Yeah, and then that used to be the show. Like the show used to be that good because I had been spoiled that Eddard Stark died. Somebody had told me that, like, he dies at some juncture. Yeah. And I still really enjoyed it, and I was still on the edge of my seat the entire time.
Because you're like, when does it happen?
Yeah, exactly. Does it happen right now? Does it happen later? Because I had come to the show, I think it was a little late, because it was already at the end of season 2, and somebody said, that guy dies, so I assumed it was later in the show, and then so when it did happen, it was very surprising to me. Mm-hmm. But that said, I think what happened is that they're based on these books, Songs of Ice and Fire, and most people know this, but basically what happened was the dude sold the rights to the TV show before he finished writing the book.
Yes.
Or the last 2 books, which was really stupid. You should probably not do that in general, unless they're going to give you a bunch of money. Well, I mean, he made a good decision probably.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
I mean,
he made a bunch of money.
I'm not going to, you wouldn't say no to a whole bunch of money.
Yeah,
if you
exactly. So he sold the rights to it, and then they started making the TV show without the books being ended. And then when the TV show caught up to the books, they asked him, how are you going to end this? And then he just talked to him for 20 minutes or an hour, just said, yeah, I think this might happen, this might happen, this might happen. So they just were working off of an outline as opposed to a fleshed out story that makes sense. Because when you look at it as an outline, it kind of does make sense, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I understand the fact that, what's her name, Daenerys burns the city to the ground. I could imagine that happening in a different show.
Yes.
Or in that show, actually, if it had been built up properly.
And the external pressure needed to be there, and it's not just a slave girl being beheaded, and now she wants to murder an entire population.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then her one older buddy died that was in love with her right during the zombie thing.
Oh,
so anyway, my idea was because I remember at the end of season 6, and it was starting to go south at the end of season 6, but it still was okay. It was still manageable. I thought that there was going to be 2 wars going on 2 different fronts because you have the war in King's Landing, which is in the south, right?
Yeah.
So you'd have Daenerys fighting Cersei, and then that would be one area of focus. And then you would have the northern war against the zombie people, right?
Yeah.
And then during the Cersei and Daenerys war, Daenerys would slowly become crazier and crazier and crazier, and then you could build that up over a longer period of time. The main problem that they did, and the main plot maneuver that didn't work was the fact that they brought the dragon to the north, and then they eliminated all the zombies, thereby eliminating the thematic weight of the zombies in the first place. Because the whole idea is that there's this existential threat to the entire world, but humans are too fucking petty to actually deal with it.
Yes.
So then it can become a metaphor for lots of things. Like lots of people are like, it's like climate change because we're too busy doing this, and then the world's going to become, Or it's whatever, you know. It's like if we're like sitting around fighting each other and then a meteor falls from the sky and kills everybody, it doesn't really fucking matter what happened, right?
Yeah.
And then so that was the whole idea. But then
That's
instead,
what I felt the whole show was building up to.
yeah, exactly. So by eliminating the existential threat like right away and then leaving 3 episodes left and then putting in the twist that she lost her mind after already saving the world, I thought that was kind of petty too.
Yeah.
Because she already did save the world. She had the dragons go up there and kill all the zombies. Like,
how
is she a bad person?
Yeah.
Like there's no build up to it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it would have made more sense if it was just a human war in the South, because then you could have used wars in the past and how things escalate. Like all of a sudden you're murdering civilian populations just because the other side murdered civilian populations, and it could have been like a slow stepping up until it's just total war, that's how it happens usually.
Yeah.
In actual wars, like somebody attacks the civilian population, and then the other side's like, well, fuck it, let's kill these people too. You know?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
It makes me think about how they had to ban gases after World War I.
Yeah.
Because there were people out there doing all sorts of nasty things with poisonous gases.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's how because if one person uses it, then the other side uses it. And then so I think by putting the crux, such a major twist, such a major pin turn twist on just like the psychology of just one person, I think is kind of dumb, instead of that decision being weighed against broader structural changes in the society.
Yeah.
Because the only reason she burned the city to the ground was just because she was kind of pissed and depressed, and I think that doesn't make any sense.
No, it didn't make sense to me either. The motivation was definitely lacking.
And then the ending was just after that was just dumb. It's just like, and then he goes and kills her, and then the dragon takes her away because the dragon's sad, and then we're gonna have the kid in the wheelchair because we forgot what to do with him,
and we're gonna make a stupid reference to democracy,
yeah,
and like a joke.
Oh, that was so dumb. Maybe we should have the plain folk agree. We can't do that.
Oh,
that was so dumb. I thought when I was watching it though, I thought it was going to be worse. I thought they were literally going to invent democracy, and then nobody was going to be king at the end.
That would have been crazy.
That would have been so bad.
That would have been so bad. It would have been awesome.
Yeah,
I would have liked it.
And then everybody should have sang a song at the end over the credits.
Yeah, and danced.
And danced over the credits in a little box while the credits were going. I think that would have been the best ending. So I think there's 2 solutions. There's the one that I brought up, right? Which is like redo the entire last 2 seasons and change it structurally to make more sense. Or the other solution would have been just on the last episode, just have them create democracy and then dance and sing over the end credits. And that would have fixed it as well.
Yes. Those are the 2 options.
All
and
right.
with that, we are going to call it a podcast.
That is a podcast. So
thank you all for joining us. And you can tune in again next week. Tuesday.
Yep.
We'll be going back to our normally scheduled day on Tuesday. And
we'll be talking about stuff
all
related
sorts of
to the Treasure Valley.
And some things not. Possibly.